All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. How is everybody doing? It's Friday, right? It's nice and relaxing. Nothing really important going on tonight. No hockey at all tonight. I think we'll just sit back tonight. I think we'll watch some last year's Miami Dolphins reruns. That was an exciting season the Dolphins had last year. I think that's what we'll do tonight. Oh boy, what am I seeing in the chat here? Let's see. How we doing, guys? David Real says Marie says 3 guys could possibly be out tonight for a health reason. Didn't say who, but I would assume Chucky is one. David Smart, I guess Chucky Verhage, maybe Reinhardt. Game time decision on 3 guys, huh? Reinhardt hit the board hard after the trip. Huh. Colin says, I think Pomo's talking about Kachuk and Erod. Yeah, Lax, I agree. Kachuk needs to sit. Too much of a liability and still hurt. I agree. Bennett, Boquist, Samoskevich. I know Boquist isn't going to score, but who else? I mean, if Rodriguez is out, is my point. At that point, if you want to leave the third line together, at that point, the third line becomes the second line, right? At that point, Lundell, Lusterine, and Marchand becomes the second line, and your third line is now Bennett with Samoskevich and Boquist. I don't know who else you're going to put on that right side. Hey, David, how about them Oilers, right? Hey, Adonis. Pente says the Cats are cooked. Yeah, Kachuk clearly can't play, right? Oh, Craig, I like that. I like that idea, Polviarvi. Huh? Yeah. We're in that spot. You know what I mean? Pente says without healthy Kachuk, they don't have a chance. Well, Real says just put Jesse out and have him hit anything that moves besides the goalie's head. But you got Vlad. I think they added him to the roster. Now, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, Vlog, but they added Polviarvi to the playoff roster, I believe, as soon as he got that suspension. So I believe if he's on the roster and didn't play, he might have already qualified for that suspension. Craig says, pretty sure he did already. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when they moved him up. As soon as he was suspended, they moved him up. So my assumption was they did that so he would serve his suspension. Adonis says, look, we ain't getting to the final every year. Maybe it's just our time. And hey, that's okay with me. See if the Cats can dig themselves out. Yeah, I'm not, there's not going to be any rants. There's not going to be any, explosions. I hate for it to be that way, but I can't fake it. I can't be mad at this team if they can't finish this off. But let's see how it goes tonight. Okay? Let's see how it goes tonight. If Reinhardt's not one of the guys that's hurt, I don't know who else. Maybe there's somebody on defense. Schmidt was skating extra slow. Brave says Jesse is served and is back down, right? So then he wouldn't even be. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for that. Kay says, I don't think hits is our problem right now. Crisp puck movement and playing defense is knowing when to pinch and solid goaltending. We had 51 hits in game one and how'd that work out? Yeah, we agree. Real says, notice how Vegas is getting dominated and struggled with the Wild round one after losing round one last year. It's hard to make deep runs every year. It just sucks. It might be the Leafs. Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight. Yeah, Christian, must win tonight. But if you've got Chucky and Erod out, you're going to have to move some stuff around. Barkov, Reinhardt, Verhaeghe, Lundell, Luosterainen, Marchand, Bennett, Samoskevich, Boquist. Am I missing anybody that could play on that right side? Would you? I mean, you're not going to put Nosek over there, right? I know they put Nosek on the right wing when Sturm was first there, but I don't think there's anybody else that really, if Puljujärvi's out and and down. Aaron, you think Kulikov could be? Right. So if Kulikov is out, then you're going to have Balinskis in. So as long as he's on the ice, he's okay. Hey, Kenneth, Danny. Pente says Luosterainen's been the Cats' best player. He's been exceptional, yeah. No doubt. Who says third line and top two pairs should be the only configuration that aren't adjusted. Right. Craig, that's what I was thinking. The Oilers look like last year's Cats. It's just, can the goaltending hold up? Can either one of Skinner or Picard actually continue to play that well? I mean, it could happen, but the Oilers look like no matter what, they're winning their game. You know what I mean? Frost says I would put Chucky on the fourth line. I don't think Maurice would do it because I don't think he can lay any hits. Yeah, Adonis says Vegas should have won. They had few empty nets. Yeah, no, we stayed up and watched that game. We stayed up and streamed that whole game. It was Vegas. I mean, especially in the beginning of the overtime. I mean, they were just all over Edmonton and just nothing would go in for him. Pente says Chucky shouldn't even play. He looked horrible. I hate it. I hate it for him. But when you look at the totality of the situation, right, it's just a shame that freaking the Four Nations, that's do we win with a healthy Tkachuk if the Four Nations doesn't happen? Like, do we win? I don't know. You just can't play that out, right? But it is what it is now. Ray says put Uvis as a forward if it's not a D-man injured, right? Hey, Occams. I guess these guys talking about Tampa. Apparently Tampa had a lot of injuries that Cooper talked about afterwards. Hungry says silver lining, if we get bumped now, at least we'll have that first round pick. Right? Real says if the finals ends up being Oilers Leafs, you might have to take up drinking. I think the only thing standing in between Edmonton and the Stanley Cup Finals is Mikko Rantanen. That's about it right now. Yeah, Picard's been really good. Mythical says a nuclear bomb could be hitting the ice and Chucky would still be skating and going out for the game. Let's get Verhaeghe off the first line. He hasn't been himself all season. Problem is, who you putting up there? You going to put Samoskevich up there? You know what I mean? The problem with moving Verhaeghe, especially if Rodriguez is hurt, right? Imagine a must-win game with Samoskevich on the top line and then still, I guess you can move Verhaeghe down, but we're in a tough spot. Definitely a tough spot. Sfossy, do I think Vegas gets swept? No. I think it's looking like 5, though, but I think they'll get one in Edmonton just because they've been so close, both of these games. Brave says send Tkachuk home to rest. Well, yeah, is what it is. Now, I think he needs surgery. Hey, Adonis, you're on the last 3 classes. Good job, man. Congratulations. Real says Four Nations ended up being exactly what we were afraid of. Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm trying to put together the harder part to put together a lineup is that you don't want to break up Lundell, Luostarinen, and Marchand. So that becomes your second line. Now, let me think about this for a second. This is crazy. What I'm about to propose is crazy, but I'm just making things up in my head, so follow me. If Chucky and Rodriguez are out, would you consider, since Verhaeghe's not really doing anything, would you consider Barkov with Reinhart and Bennett, Lundell, Luostarinen, Marchand, Sturm, Verhaeghe, Boqvist, Nosek, Greer, Gadjevich? Did I leave anybody out? What do you think about that craziness? Chucky's had the most expected goals on the ice. Interesting. Make Schmidt a top line forward in place. Pente, you say you like those? I see you, James. I'm just throwing stuff up against the wall, right? That could be interesting, seeing Bennett up there with Barkov and Reinhart. It would certainly give them a different look, right? It would certainly give Toronto, like, what the hell is this? What are we going to do with this, right? There's probably no tape on anything like that, right? Hell. And when we do have enough center depth. Kenneth says, Pomo liked Chucky's game too, and so did I. Right? Praga says, I know Swaggy hasn't scored, but he has found a new gear in terms of speed and tenacity. Absolutely. I can't question Swaggy's effort. You know what I mean? He's trying to do what he can. The puck just won't go in the net. It's just crazy. Spearsman says, no sympathy for Chucky. He chose fighting at the Four Nations over the team paying him $9 million. Right? I can understand it. I can understand that sentiment, Hey, Nathan. So Matt says Samo with Barkey and Chucky. Chucky is all distractions. Samo brings the grind and speed. Let Barkey play a little bit. But they're talking about, Matt, we've got some game time decisions, some guys that are injured. So we're talking about if Chucky and Rodriguez are out, because I guess the assumption is those are the guys. There's some game time decisions. So if Chucky's not available, that's why I'm kind of throwing stuff up against the wall here. Praga says our big problem has been the Leafs' elite speed skaters getting too many breakaways. Our guys have to be faster on the stretch. Yep. Screwed Asplund on the top line. And yeah, Bob's not been spectacular either. Fossey says we got nothing to lose tonight. We have our cup. Yep. Zach says, I'm like, whatever it takes to win. I just want to win. I know it, man. Yeah, Brady fought Bennett. Mats, yeah, then you would go Samuel, Barkov, Reinhart. I'm not against trying it. It's just whether or not Sam Iskevich can handle the defensive end of being up on that top line, which we know Bennett would be. So, look, if we get behind, who knows what lines he's going to put together. You know what I mean? But you're going to see a lot of Lundell, Luostarinen, Marchand tonight. There's no doubt about that if those guys are injured. Chucky is a meathead. Real, yeah, 3 guys with game time's decision, but they didn't say who. We're guessing. I'm honestly hoping Chuck is one, because at least that would show that Maurice is aware that there's a problem there. We would assume Rodriguez might be one. Schmidt. I know some people thought Kulikov. Schmidt, look, he was skating really slow, but I guess Toronto's fast too, so there's that. Yeah, exactly, James. D-men, stay home. You're D-men, right? Matt says maybe toss Gadget, let him play some nasty, let Bennett play some hockey. That Glenn, hey, Glenn says the cup is sitting on the table. Just beat teams we've been beating before. You have to beat Wall, and that too. That too. Progress says I'm more down on Erod and Boquist. Haven't seen either from either one of them these series. Boquist has made some poor D plays, and I think everybody's been making some poor defensive plays. Rodriguez hasn't been nobody's been what we've needed them to be this series. Honestly, if you really go down the list, right? I mean, I should take that back. Lundell, Lusterine, and Marchand have been. Can you imagine if the other lines were contributing with how they're playing? Right? Yeah, no, I would not split up the Martian. That's our best line. It's not even close right now. Corey says, hot take, Rodriguez will play, only be put out there for ref sympathy. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. Yeah, Real says put Mackey out there with Jesse and either Ashland or Sorthiff. Remember against Vegas where we had to throw Dianasenko out there? Oh, there was somebody else that was on the ice that didn't belong either. Like really shouldn't have been out there. I forget who it was. Steven says, Great Dangle has a video out titled Can't Be Stopped. It's 2-0. Okay. Or is he talking about Edmonton? Is it a video about the Oilers, Steven? Is it a video about Edmonton? Yeah, Pente. Yeah, Pulviari. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing him out there either. Matt says I'd probably go Samo for Chucky and Gadgel in the 4th. We'll get the last change now. It's a little less pressure on the changes, and Barkov takes the deep pressure with Reinhart basically feeling a 3. Right. Hungry says apparently the league quietly canceled next year's All-Star game. I think it's because of the Olympics, right? Magna. Well, that might have to happen if one of the guys that's possibly hurt. Kevin says Kachuk is playing like he has a torn abductor. It doesn't just go away. Yeah, he's gonna have to get surgery. He can't forget the part where you can't skate. He can't shoot. He can't like when he's shooting, it's like he's like a robot. Like when he's trying to pass, he's like not even using his hips or anything. It's just like, like those like a foosball table. Yeah, that's what Kachuk looks like right now. He looks like one of the foosball guys. Screw it, put it in Bournefoot. Now James has gone off the reservation. Now James is gone. You're gone too far now. We can't have. I'd rather go 12-5, 13-5. I'd rather go 13-5 than put it in Bournefoot. Put the shock collar on the demon. I agree there. Matt's, yeah, no, Samoskevich is willing to do the defensive work. It's whether or not he can handle, the board battles and all of that against the really elite competition. And I wouldn't be against seeing it. I mean, we're down 0-2, right? At this point, we're going to have to throw something out there. Yeah, fake news. Is the Erod injury due to embellishment? Yeah. Yeah, Megna, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him out there. Logan Fruz. I tell you what I say to Toronto fans is it would be Toronto's luck that if they beat Florida and they make it to the finals, that they would end up meeting up against an absolute beast of a motivated Connor McDavid. Like, damn. Like that'd suck for you all. You know what I mean? David says it's our best line because it's 3D studs. That's low key why you split them. Maybe Luosterainen, Samuel Marchand, and Lundell to Barkey. I mean, I hate to split them up. But we'll see. I mean, if Tkachuk is out, I don't know. You never know what Maurice is going to do, right? I mean, we do have the last change, so that might help. We can see a situation especially if it's like Rodriguez and Tkachuk out, you can see something where there's just like not even lines, just mixing and matching all night long. Yeah, Bob's been left out to dry a lot in this series. Both things can be true. It's definitely not Bob's fault. That's for sure. Yeah, thank you, Jameson. That's the one. That's the one. Giovanni Smith. That's right. Yeah. Good memory. Zachary says, I feel like we have depth, or are you delusional? Oh, we've got depth. It's just not the same caliber. It's tough digging into your depth when you're down in the 0-2 hole. You know what I mean? Because we're going to have to be better than Toronto a lot now. There's no more mistakes that can happen. There's no more, well, that was just one game. It's a bad bounce. I mean, 3-0, and let's be honest here, right? I don't even think Satan would be like, why don't we make Toronto get up 3-0 and then have them get reverse swept? Like, I don't even think that'd be too much for me to believe. I don't think any fan base in the world would deserve that. I would want Florida to do it, but like, that would be abusive. That would seem abusive to me if we got down 0-3 and then came back and won. I'm scrolling down to the bottom. I know I'm way back here. Matt. Comment says, no, there's a reason reverse sweeps don't happen, right? Corey says, we'll freak out if you guys win one game. Yeah. I can hear it now. We're not Ottawa. You know what I mean? It's like, but if we're running out of body parts, is what it is. Brave says it's hard being down 0-2 and replacing Tkachuk. Well, yes and no, because we're not really replacing Tkachuk. We're replacing whoever that is out there in the Tkachuk jersey. He's a liability right now. He's absolutely a liability on the ice. And so it's possible that just getting someone out there that won't be a liability could be an improvement from what we're going through right now. You know what I mean? It sounds weird to say it, but it's not like we got a healthy Tkachuk and we're just losing games because of bounces. He's contributing. Like Maurice said. Just Maurice didn't realize what he was saying. Silver says, I want Bournefoot. David says, I wouldn't be shocked if Vegas takes 2 in Edmonton. Those teams are close. Those are it's a shame that we have to through Washington and Carolina though, for 2.5 hours to get to the good games in the Western Conference. Because that game last night, that was just everything you want a playoff game to be. But you knew. And the 5-minute penalty too, right? I mean, Oilers had a 5-minute power play, and you're thinking that's it. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And then once I saw McDavid with Draisaitl, I'm just like, uh-oh. And now that was it. Those two, they're not gonna miss. I see. We're not sure. I see Maurice said there's 3 guys that are game time decisions due to injury. Our assumption is that Chucky's one of them. Hey, Adonis. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Adonis. Much appreciated, bud. He says, let's ease it down, take it one game at a time. Yeah. That's all we got right now is the one game. You get it to 2-1. Remember, this is what we did to Vegas. God, it's so similar to Vegas. Right? We got down to Vegas 0-2, and then we won game 3. And then, Chucky we came that close. Chuck came that close to getting that game tied, and maybe we could have had the series tied. So we need some bounces, man. We need some bounces. Fossey, you would put Nosek in. I don't know what Sturm's faceoff percentage has been, but it's the penalty kill. I think why he's out there on the ice. Because if you take him off the ice for the penalty kill, you're going to have to lean on Barkov and Reinhart a little bit more, which probably not optimal right now because probably going to have to lean on him even more if other guys are hurt. Praga says they've offered Bennett about $8 million a year, I hear. About $8 million per year, I hear. If he wants to play in Florida, he's got to offer. If he wants 10 or 12 million, he'll have to sign elsewhere. Yeah. I mean, 8. If he wants 8 by 4 years, I give it to him. You know it's an overpay. But, if we lose this series and we have to start looking at, a little bit of a different future, decisions might get different. It gets weird, Ted, yeah, the passes. I know. Zachary says replacing a liability is better than having Robark Kachuk. Mackie Bobrovsky or Anton Lusterinen. Comment says is that Barkov and Matthews are basically plus minus 0. Lundell's line is awesome, but Bennett's line is not working, while the Leafs' second is at least dominating like Lundell's second line. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you have to just reassess at this point and realize that we're going to be top heavy with 2 lines, and we got Sam Bennett somewhere. I mean, if Kachuk and Rodriguez are both out, it really puts us in a bind. But we'll see. Sometimes when guys get injured, we see this with any team. Guys get injured, all of a sudden other players elevate their level of play. We could get shockingly. I don't know if you guys were watching the game last night. The second game. I didn't know this. And some of you might be surprised to hear this, but did you know, I'm not making this up, by the way, did you know the fourth line's allowed to score goals too? I didn't realize that. I was watching and then doing the fourth line scored a goal and I was just waiting for the penalty to come. I didn't know. They're actually allowed to score. So maybe now that we've seen that, we'll get the idea too. I don't know why we hadn't figured that out already. But apparently, yeah. Comment. Hey, Simon. Well, I'm getting Kyle to the gym today, and today it's cold and rainy. I didn't get out there yesterday. I wanted to, but just too much work. We're staying up late streaming the games. I got to conserve the energy. I was kind of hoping to wait for a day where we didn't have a lot going on at night, but this time of year is tough. But now it's what? It's 57 and raining outside. So, yeah. Greg says, Lawrence last year, so yeah, fourth lines can score, right? Real fourth line scoring must be a different language. Yeah. Lady Sky, Vegas fans are pissed that the Oilers win in overtime after a dangerous, unpenalized trip. It's hard on me to. My attitude has always been, for better or worse, unless somebody decapitates a guy in the playoffs, it's got to be really, really egregious. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't, lady. Vegas had so many chances in the beginning of that overtime, to get that game won. And it's just tough, man. McDavid and Draisaitl, McDavid especially, they look very much like Florida did last year, where they just refusing to lose games. Hungry says, hopefully fishing season goes better than the playoffs. Yeah, I hope so too. It's not been – there's some years where the fish come in really early, and there's some years where they come in a little bit late. And because we had such a cold winter, the water is still a little bit chilly. The grasses haven't grown up enough, because the bass will come in and spawn and be along the shoreline. But you got to wait for the grass to be like maybe 2 feet up above the water level. And just everything's just been going really slow. So, but that means September will be good. If you get a slow April and beginning of May, that means September is going to be really good. So that'll help, because there's no hockey in September. I'm slowly realizing you are becoming Jaws Durden. Praga says, Oilers really looking good, but Picard might be their Achilles heel. I mean, he played outstanding last night. I mean, he was crazy last night. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier, lady, with the few game time decisions. Honestly, I hope one of them is to give Tkachuk a rest. I mean, Maurice is saying publicly, but he's got to know, right? Like if Tkachuk is out there as a game time decision because of this groin thing, then it's obviously affecting his play, and maybe it would be smarter for the team to have somebody out there that can play. I love Chucky's toughness and all of that, but who knows if the United States can win that game if they would have had somebody on the ice that could play the whole game. You know what I mean? He played game 4 against Vegas with a broken sternum, which is admirable, but, at some point there's a balance between hurting your team and not helping your team out. And the other night, he was not helping us out. Kay says, do I live in Michigan? You're already killing smallmouth and walleye during spawn. No, I'm in Maryland. I'm in the eastern shore of northern Maryland, and we had about 2 to 3 weeks of just frozen here. So where I go, I live right off of a tributary of the Chesapeake, and it's just been really cold until only the last couple of weeks. And so when the fish are out there, because you see the big ones jumping, and it's just been. I haven't been out there this week, but last week it was just dead. It was just still dead. So Once they show up, they'll show up. Oh, boy. Chris Wilson says, I haven't been out fishing. Your wife's pregnant. Lots of stuff to get done. The whole baby thing is cutting into your fishing. Yeah. Yeah. I've been saying that for 30 years. Life does that, man. Lady says Leafs fans are predicting Rodriguez and Tkachuk out. That would make sense to me. That would make sense. What I hope doesn't happen is Rodriguez is out and Chucky goes, I can do it, when he really can't. So it is what it is. You know, that was with Rodriguez, it was that embellishment. You know what I mean? His feelings are hurt, I think. Brace. Yeah, I actually have a fishing channel. I just I hadn't been able to do as much with it as I like because I'm always working. You know what I mean? I don't have the option to do things that don't make me money. And then last year, my plan was in the off season, Fluffy and I were going to be at the river every day, and I was going to make fishing videos and the whole thing. And instead, he died. So that kind of put that channel on ice for me for a little while because that was my plan was completely different than what I went through last summer. We'll just leave it at that. Get Okposo out of retirement and put him on the ice. Kenneth says, so if everyone plays tonight, what line matching would I? Oh, God. I don't know. I think you have, if Tkachuk plays, and Maurice kind of said this because he said they asked him about the third line, and he said, I don't consider Lundell the third line. And it needs to be where they're not the third line. I don't like any of the matchups right now. The top line is basically, neutering the top guys for the most part, with the exception of the breakaways and, like the one shot, the fourth goal that went in. I mean, you're not going to stop shots from that far out. You know what I mean? I don't have a good answer. I don't have a good answer for that. Just keep rolling Lundell, who's running the Marchand out there anytime you think you can have an advantage. With Tkachuk, I don't, there's no pot, put him out there on the fourth, up against the fourth line, honestly. Hey, yeah, Simon asking about Joel Quenneville with the Ducks. Yeah. I haven't looked on Twitter to see the reaction of people. I don't have a real strong opinion there in terms of who knows what was said behind the scenes in the context of, I know Bedman said Quenneville can come back, obviously, but have Quenneville and Beach had a conversation? Has there been some sort of reconciliation there? Or is it just going to be a whole renewed thing where Beach comes out publicly against it? I would assume whatever's going to have happened. I haven't heard anything, but it would kind of seem to me like if Quenneville was going to come back, that he would have had a conversation with Beach previous to doing it. Gator says, what's up, Jaws? We got this coming back. We're going to get the series to 2-2. We got to get it to 2-1. That's what we got to do. I know. I'm not trying to mute your point there. I get what you're saying, but we got to get this game. Has to be a game 7 tonight. Mythical says Reinhardt only scores on big contract years. Thank you, Praga. I want to see Reinhardt in the corners coming up with pucks. Yeah. Craig says Barkov, Reinhardt, Bohlquist, Bennett, Swaggy, Mackey, third line, and then Sturm, Nosek, Greer. Okay. Yeah, if Chucky and Rodriguez are out, I mean, there's going to be somebody on the top line that, quote, doesn't belong unless you're going to do the swap that I said about Bennett. You know what I mean? But look, if Chucky's to the point where he can't play again, and we already seen it. I mean, like we went to 2 straight finals. You know what I mean? What about bringing in Gadjevich? Well, wouldn't? I'd like Nosek instead. I'd like Nosek instead right now. Nothing against Gadjevich, but if we had to, well, if Chucky and Rodriguez are out, we got to have 2 new guys in, right? So, right? That's two. Yeah. So you'd have to bring in Nosek and Gadjevich. I don't think you'd have a choice, right? Case says Boquist on the first line. What the hell? No. I'm not advocating for or against it, but if both guys are out, you're gonna. It's probably an either or type of thing. Like my assumption would be one of them goes again. One of them goes. I hope you put Rodriguez in the 4th line and sit Tkachuk. Real says one of Forsing is one of the injured guys. I'll start OnlyFans. That's it. If Forsing is out, just cook the books. Ekblad Jones. If Forsing is, I mean, honestly. I don't know. Brandon and Ted are asking if Chucky has a groin injury, if he got hurt game 2. I think it's just the same. It's just the same thing that he's had, and it might be getting to a point where it's becoming difficult for him to play, as we've seen in the last game where he just was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah. If Gator says, I think he tore his groin. Yeah. Gator, in an article that George Richards wrote at the beginning of the playoffs, he said something that I don't think a lot of people caught, because the way he said it made it sound like he was guessing or having conjecture. But what he said was basically, don't be surprised if as soon as the season's over, Tkachuk needs surgery. That sounds to me like he knows Tkachuk needs surgery. So Chuck's out there giving us what he's got, but unfortunately, you're playing a fast team like the Leafs. Berube is going to target that, and it's just a bad situation. You hate to take him off the ice, but we can all see it. We can all see it. He's a liability out there. I hate it. So whether or not we can win without him is irrelevant. We're not winning with him. So something has to get fixed there. So I hate to sit here and say I hope he's out, but Kevin says groin usually means sports hernia, which usually are injuries to abductors. Yeah. Mythical says Chucky had some moments in the Lightning series. Might need to rest him and hope he can play a little bit better if we advance next round. Yeah, he's moving very gingerly, Kevin. Yeah. I mean, if you watch him go to try to hit somebody, he goes up to him like he's going to hit him, and then he like slides to a stop and is like just like barely. He can't handle the recoil of hitting somebody. You've got to have a strong core to go up there and hit somebody. If you don't, you're gonna feel it. You know what I mean? If you got anything going on in your core area and you hit somebody, yeah, you hit them, but you're gonna feel it. So it's just a shame. But hey, we got a cup. We got a cup. At least we did. At least we got that, right? Occam says, we saw what happened in 23. You don't want to play an injured team out there. Yeah, or put one out there, right? Kevin says, Florida is heavily favored tonight. I can't imagine Florida will have anyone out that would be a surprise. I don't know. I mean, we've played well with guys out before, right? I mean, Donna says, positive energy, everyone. Yeah. Exactly, Ted. Each game must be treated as a game 7. Yeah. Silva says it's all right. We can just play the roster we played after 4 Nations. Yeah, I mean, we came back after 4 Nations playing pretty well, right? Occam says Toronto's definitely due to lay an egg. They played almost perfect hockey to this series. I wouldn't count on that. And I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm just saying in general, I wouldn't. Berube's got them playing right, playing well, a little bit of a different attitude. If they had let Ottawa slip on game 7 and they took, if they had let Ottawa take game 6 and have to go into game 7, I might feel like, this is probably just like the rest of the Leaf teams. But they took all that pressure and they shoved it right back down the Senators' throat. And I know the Senators are not the Panthers. You start to add things up. It's like, well, just win this game and then see what we've got left in the tank. Just put it all out there tonight. You get the series to 2-1. Take a breath. Go get a massage, right? Kevin says, last 6 weeks of the season, we played like ass. We had no offense. We need to fix that. Figure out what's up with the neutral zone turnover problem. To me, Kevin, I kind of got to this in the recap. I ain't going to call them lazy. But what I'm sensing is they don't want to do the hard work of gain the line, dump it in, and go do the work in the corners. They're trying to cheat. They're trying to get cheap goals or at least cheap entries. And Toronto's not having anything to do with it. That's not our specialty. We're not a team that's going to pass the puck around really well in the neutral zone. We don't have those kind of players. We're supposed to be getting to their line, dump it in, beat the other team to the puck, and win the battle. And they don't want to do it right now for whatever reason. Injuries, tired, exhaustion, motivation. I can't sit here and be mad at them because 2 long runs. I mean, who gets that, right? But to me, that's what's happening. And we know they're capable of it, of playing the right way, but do they have the will? And look, if we play a perfect game or we play our style and we lose 2-1 because we can't score, it's like, well, it's I know losing is still losing. None of us like losing. But, I mean, we shouldn't be giving up goals because Schmidt pinched and lost his man. That's just not necessary. It's hard to watch because you're screaming at the TV. It's like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Kevin, apparently, are you talking about the Leafs being the heaviest team in the league? Apparently, they were the ones that, we lead the league in hits by like a long shot. Yeah, or we forget to get on the ice. Yeah. Thank you. Right? I mean, literally, we gave up a game-winning goal in a playoff game in the second round because our defenseman forgot to get on the ice. It's like, what? And it's we saw this in the regular season too. I was screaming about it. It's like mental. It looks like we're not mentally engaged, but that sometimes is what mental exhaustion looks like. And they're never going to admit it. They're never going to admit it. Like Maurice, they asked Maurice about, he played a lot of hockey. He's like, well, that's not a problem. It's like, okay, I guess every other team that ever went on long runs that looked gassed in the playoffs didn't have a problem. So, and Simon, no, we're not doing the late game tonight. Not doing the late game tonight, because Donna's here tonight, and we did the late game last night. It's a little bit much on us to do 2 late games in a row. Plus, I got to get the recap out anyway. So, but as the series moves on, we'll do more. We did the late one last night. Comment says that was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen the Panthers do. It was less than pleasant. Craig says next season the defense gets fixed. No more slow old guys. Yeah, but now we got Jones, right? The only looking at what we're going through now, it only makes sense that we got Jones if we're going to let Ekblad walk, Jones, Forsling, and then we get some younger, faster defensemen to pair with Mikkola, and I don't know who on the bottom pair. I wouldn't mind going in with Magna next year. Obviously, Kulikov's still going to be here, but he's not getting any younger. Put a lot of minutes on Kulikov between last year and this year, and he's not young. Real Cinema says Belinskas was probably stunned that the Reinhardt trip wasn't called. Let me look that up. Because I thought I had heard Toronto was leading the league in hits, and then I thought it was the Panthers. NHL team leaders in hits. Let's see. For this year, it was the Panthers by a long shot. Panthers had 2,446 hits during the regular season. Next up is the Canucks at 2,213. The Leafs are all the way down at 8 at 1,962. So we had 500 more hits than Toronto did. Now, I'm not saying that makes them weak or anything, but yeah, the Panthers out-hit. The closest team was over 200 hits away. The closest team was over 200 hits away. That's a lot. Oh, heaviest weight. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Let me look at that. Kenneth says, I should point out the Game 2 recap was very well done. I was embarrassed by Dangle's Game 1 recap. Oh, I appreciate that, Kenneth. I mean, it's disappointing that Dangle took that direction. I get the frustration, but he's got such a big platform, that when he says stuff, people repeat it. It's an interesting question, Kevin. Let me see. NHL teams by weight. Yeah, you're right, Toronto. You're right, Kevin, Toronto. Yeah. Let me see. NHL team by average weight. What is this? This can't be right. I guess actually they're saying the Canadiens are 1 and Maple Leafs are 2. How can that be? That can't be right. That can't be right. Canadiens, Leafs, Bruins, Rangers. I'm trying to look at this stat that I'm seeing and figuring out where they're getting that from. It doesn't make any sense that Montreal would be there. But that's what StatMuse is telling me. That don't make a whole lot of sense, to say the least. Yeah, there's no way the Canadiens. But it's weird because they've got Toronto number 2. But the thing in Montreal, that's got to be like a joke having Montreal at number one. The rest of it kind of makes sense. Maple Leafs, Bruins, Rangers, Blackhawks, Red Wings, Kings, Stars, Flyers. Where the hell's Florida? They don't even have Florida on the list here because you gotta pay to have past number 25. Are we that small? That's got to be a joke with Montreal at top. That just can't be for real. Maybe they're factoring in Dovish, right? All right. Kevin says, we look out muscled on the ice. Little bit out everything right now. They're just better right now. It just is what it is. We need to play to our strength tonight and see what happens. You know, Ted, yeah, no, I know. It's totally random with the internet. It gave us some problems during the game last night. So it's just all right, everybody. I gotta roll. I gotta get myself some lunch. I gotta get Kyle to the gym, get myself moving for tonight. I think it's 7:30 tonight, right? We'll be live. Let me see if it's 7. Let me see. Is it 7:30? Oh, no, it's 7 o'clock. Maybe it's the other night that's 7. So it's 7 o'clock. I won't be late. I won't be late. Yeah, I thought I must have looked at it when my eyes were crusty. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate all the support. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you tonight at 7 for Game 7. And then the next game is Game 7. And if we win the next 2 Game 7s, then they stop being Game 7s again.